เชิญครับท่าน
The story begins with a man named Alex. He grew up in a slum neighborhood among the marginalized. Lack of education, poor and accustomed to living under the law of the jungle and violence, is their daily language. Even madness is no longer a strange thing. In a place like this, only the strong can survive while the weak will sink without a trace. That day, Alex walked to a shop to hang out for coffee. From the look on his face, it seemed that he was not okay because he was missing his mother who was in prison. His mother was in prison because she was caught being a drug dealer. At the stall, he met two of his mother's former customers, and for no apparent reason, the two men annoyed Alex by mentioning his mother who was in prison. Alex's anger was calmed by his girlfriend, but the two men continued to tease him and say bad things about his mother. Finally, Alex could no longer hold back his anger. Now Alex has to be taken to prison to account for his actions, and in the interrogation room, Alex is asked many things, including why he did it. Alex tells us everything, and we as the audience are invited to see a little of Alex's past. Alex's childhood was far from beautiful. He became a child who lived without a father, poor and only had his mother as his only support. At school, he often got questions that made his heart ache. One of them was from the teacher who innocently asked about his mother's work. Alex was seen answering it with a heavy heart. Of course, his mother's profession is wrong, but to be able to send Alex to school, his mother is forced to do it. In order to have extra money, Alex usually also participates in children's boxing fights. Now we return to the prison where Alex is taken to the head warden's room before being put into a prison cell. He is not alone as seen next to him. There is a new inmate named Bari. After the head warden's room, he was not immediately taken into the cell, but they were both taken to meet veteran inmates to undergo the tradition of denudation. We need to know that in this prison, the prisoners are grouped into two camps where the two camps never get along. The first camp is led by a man named Pierre. They are a group that likes to find trouble, make a heated atmosphere, and also like to oppress with brutality. Meanwhile, in the second camp led by Guso and his right hand named Varus, they are much different from Pierre's group because they don't like to make a fuss. They are more relaxed and a lot of jokes, but make no mistake, if anyone disturbs all the problems, they immediately buy without bargaining. Then in which group will Alex and Bari be put? Unfortunately, Alex and Bari have to languish in the cell of the Pierre group. The first night they were both there, as new prisoners, Pierre immediately exercised his power with a strange request. Because of his long time in prison, his animal instincts began to grow, because for him, men or women were the same in appearance. And he used the principle that it was important to have a whole. The choice given by Pierre is not at all pleasant, which if they refuse, they will become the target of Pierre's anger and his men. It seems that Bari, who has no mentality with threats, finally complies, but it's a different story with Alex because for him, pride is more valuable than anything. And rather than having to submit to Pierre, he chooses to disobey. In the morning, Alex is seen battered after last night's beating. Shortly thereafter at lunchtime, Bari is seen sitting next to Pierre with his new status as concubine, while Alex, who is alone with his battered body, walks to take food rations. Seen there, Alex is greeted by Varus from the Guso group to join his group, but without giving an answer, Alex prefers to continue taking lunch rations. After Alex got the food, he looked for a place to sit, and suddenly came Rate, who was Pierre's men, who kept bothering him. Actually, Alex really wanted to beat him up, but because they had so many members, Alex preferred to be patient. Although Alex relented, but there was not the slightest look of fear on his face. Even his gaze remained sharp. Witnessing that Varaz seemed interested in Alex's courage and asked Guso to take him from Pierre's cell. After lunch, it was time for them to shower together, and because they still weren't bored, Pierre came back with his gang to torture Alex. In the middle of the torture, Pierre asked Bari to contribute to giving kicks and punches, and it seems that Bari innocently refused. But because he was threatened that if he didn't want to, then he would be beaten, finally free kicks and punches had to be done by Bari. It looks like the first kick failed, and Bari was given a slap by Pierre, so he ended up doing it again. Now it's Rate's turn to take the free kick, and with a lot of confidence, the kick was taken. After the incident at the bathhouse, Alex fell asleep weakly. No one cared until finally the head warden came to wake him up with a shower. There the head warden told Alex to wake up quickly and then come to the ceremony. When the head warden was about to leave, he ran into Bari, who came there to approach Alex on orders from Pierre. Before inviting Alex to line up, Bari was seen apologizing for himself being forced to kick Alex earlier and giving an orange as an apology. Afterward, at the marching station, the chief warden was seen telling Pierre that Bari gave Alex an orange. Feeling that he never told Bari to do it, he was furious. Unable to stand the behavior of Pierre, who was pretentious, Varas came to him and tried to negotiate. Guso, who knew Varas was a person who never wanted to back down even a little, could not help but also approach Pierre. Finally, Alex is now in the group of Guso and Varas, and Alex is grateful to them, but Alex can't help but think a little about Bari and what his fate will be there. Now it's starting to look like Alex's days are changing, because with Guso's group, Alex is starting to enjoy life and have a lot of laughs with them. But it's different with Bari, who always gets bullied by Pierre and his friends. Now arrives one day after so many months have passed, and on that day, Alex has his girlfriend in a prison visit session. Not good news he gets, but a sad news because Alex's mother has died in prison. Moreover, now his girlfriend chooses to end the relationship because she does not see a good future with Alex. Of course, hearing that, Alex was speechless. After Alex's visiting time is up now, it's Guso's turn to be visited by his father. And there his father informs him that his boss approves of Guso coming to work if he gets out of prison. While Guso is chatting, it is seen on the other side of Alex, who has just come out of the visiting room to see Varas being ganged up on by Pierre and his group. Guso, who has just come out of the visiting room, sees it and lies down next to Pierre. He immediately asks what Pierre really wants. The fighting agreement was agreed upon, and then afterwards at night in the cell, it was seen that Pierre was already bored with Bari. Finally, his members immediately took over the role to replace Pierre. Bari had resisted, but his resistance did not last long, and finally, inevitably, he surrendered. After everything has passed, Bari lies limp, sweat pouring out, and also his empty gaze stares at the ceiling as if his soul is slowly disappearing along with his hopes. Behind him, the situation shows Pierre crushing several cutters to be ground until smooth. What is the purpose? And the next day we are shown the real purpose. Pierre and his friends apparently used a sneaky method by mixing the crushed cutter into Alex's food.
กินข้าวต้มได้ปะวันนี้กูอยากแดกข้าวต้มด้วยมากเดี๋ยวกูรับจบเองแต่ประโยชน์นะเว้ยคือแบบมึงทำเหี้ยอะไรสั่งไม่สั่งไอ้เหี้ย
With the sacrifice of Bari, who was probably tired of living there, Alex was finally saved. It appears that Guso's group did not accept Pierre's cunning treatment, and then with good emotional management from Guso, he immediately accelerated the date of the brawl. In short, Saturday arrived the day they got parole and were allowed to move around the prison environment. Guso's camp was seen waiting, and soon Pierre's group arrived. Not many words and not many stories, the war was carried out. Unfortunately, the fight had to stop immediately because the security bell rang. The guards came. The fighting had to stop, and all were still given safety and had to return to their respective cells. At nightfall, it was seen that Guso was unusually quiet in the cell, and Varas, who felt that it was strange, asked Guso. Feeling that there was no other way, Alex finally made the final decision, a desperate attempt to save Guso at any cost. Everything has been done, but there is no answer. No one is coming, and hope is slowly fading. Finally, the night of sorrow has now arrived with a weakening breath. The leader, who has been very loved by his men, must leave forever. The next day saw Guso's father coming to the police station to pick up his son's body, and some expressions of disappointment he could not contain. Afterward, while Piero's group was bathing, Alex and Faraz came there. There, Alex challenged Piero to end this dispute by dueling one-on-one, evenly without the help of friends. Piero agreed without fear, and before they started the duel seen in a room while getting ready, Alex said that he actually had a little fear. Not fear of death, not fear of pain, but fear that he would lose because Piero was undeniably a tough guy. He was the leader of the group where he was the strongest. Finally, with courage they gathered, and the final fight was about to begin. Finally, all that was pent up had now paid off. Pierre lay helpless, and the fight was over. After everything was over, the head warden appeared. High solidarity was shown by Fours, who also submitted and admitted that he had participated in stabbing Pierre. Finally, they were both placed in special cells. The next day, the warden comes there and gives them a nice meal. Not just food, he also provides a little motivation.
มึงไปบางบอน
And at the end of the movie, we are shown Afaraz and Alex being sent to a different prison, a prison that contains big mafia and heavy cases where everything will be more sinister and the movie ends.
ยินดีต้อนรับ